Tonight we're going to be talking about baby-proofing and child-proofing your home. So, so important. I hope you guys are all listening carefully. I know you're tuning in. A lot of you have little babies and they're not walking yet or they're not crawling yet, but now is the time to get prepared because, believe it or not, they will be walking within the year, okay? They'll be crawling around. It goes that fast. So it's always the time, right when you first have your baby, to start thinking about what are the hazards that you need to take care of in your house to make sure that your child and your baby is safe. So let's not wait one more second because we've got so much good information. I think we're going to run over time tonight. I want to introduce you and welcome back a very special friend and guest, Kay Green, who is the baby safety specialist, okay, and the founder, and she is the owner of the My Precious Kid store and myprecioukid.com. And Kay is on the phone with us. Hello, Kay. Are you there?
I'm here. Hello, Shari.
Hi, Kay. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love coming.
Oh, my goodness. When we started to talk about this topic, I said, find out when Kay is available, and whenever that is when we're doing this, because I won't do this topic without you.
You are too kind.
Well, you're just, such a wealth of knowledge, and people really need your information so, so much. I mean, we're talking about child-proofing, baby-proofing your home so that we can create a safe environment for our children. There's nothing more important, and that's the place they're going to be spending the majority of their time is at home.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, your site, your store. This is your specialty.
It is. I've been doing this for 10 years as a business, and so really try to keep my finger on the new things and the current information because we know it changes as technology changes and as we learn more.
Yes, absolutely. And, as new technology comes out, there's hazards that we never had to worry about before that now we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. So let's keep going here because we've got so many questions and so much great information. And, Kay created such an amazing resource on her website. It's a room-by-room child-proofing checkoff sheet, and you can find it right on myprecioukid.com. If you go to the main menu there's a place where you can click on child-proofing, and you guys should all check that out because it really takes you in such a unique way, room by room of your house, of the things that you need to be looking for, and we're going to be going through that together tonight. Right, Kay?
Perfect. Yes, we will do that. I'll try and post this link here for them as well.
Yeah, I don't know if we can post links. We might not be able to do that.
Not working.
But what we can do is we can put it onto our resource page, and then also we'll post it on our Facebook page. But for anybody who's watching replays, just go to www.myprecioukid.com and look right at the main menu, and you'll see child proofing, and click right there.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. So let's start with the first, the first room in the house that we need to be considering.
Okay. They're all important, but let's start with the child's bedroom.
Yes.
Because that really is where they're going to spend a lot of their time, and it's the one room that they are in unsupervised.
Absolutely.
And so let's start with cribs, because that is a place that most of our babies start before they're even moving, and we have to worry about the rest.
Yes.
And Shari, I have adult children as well as grandchildren, and so when my big kids were in cribs, it was very different than today. We had drop-side cribs, we had big fluffy quilts, we had bumper pads.
Right.
We also had something like 5,000 more babies die a year of SIDS and also asphyxiation than we do now.
Wow, yeah.
It's a huge, huge number. And so today's information is telling us no bumper pads.
Yes.
That bumper pads, the last study I saw recently was another 30-day deaths attributed to bumper pads.
Wow.
And they were created when our crib rails were farther apart. We don't need them any longer.
Gotcha.
And so either leave the bumper pads off or purchase one of the two safe options, a breathable bumper or a Wonder bumper, which is a vertical bumper that leaves airflow going across the edge of the mattress.
Yes.
And it's much safer. You don't have the suffocation issue. Also, we have found out that the increase in oxygen decreases the carbon dioxide, which they're telling us is a SIDS risk factor. So it helps all the way around.
Okay. And so how long are babies really susceptible to this, with bumpers in the cribs? Because at one point then it becomes a hazard that they use them to climb out of the crib too, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. The biggest SIDS risk is from 0 to 6 months.
Yes.
And then from 6 to 12 months, the risk factor is for positional asphyxiation, where they move themselves into a corner and get their face into something. And then from 12 to 24 months, the risk is climbing out. They use it as a stepping stone.
Yes.
So there really is just no reason.
Yeah.
Just leave them out.
Yep. Perfect. And like you said, years ago, the slats and the cribs used to be much further apart. You needed something like that. These days,
absolutely.
It's not the case.
You needed something to keep their legs and arms from getting out. The current crib regulations make them thin enough that's not a problem.
Yep.
And if you want something to keep them from getting an arm through and to keep their binkies in, then something like a mesh breathable bumper is a safe alternative.
Yep.
And it can't be climbed on.
Yep. Oh, that's perfect. Yes, somebody had a question here. Actually, she's from New Jersey. Danny from New Jersey was saying she wants to know, when is it safe to introduce a blanket into the crib?
Oh, great question. AAP is telling us at 12 months, you can introduce a blanket tucked into the bottom of the crib. So they're still not going to pull it up over their head, and it gives you some control, so it's not loose in there.
Gotcha.
And you can start doing that at 12 months. Before 12 months, it's not needed.
Yep.
And the same thing if you're co-sleeping. No blankets on your babies, no pillows near your baby if you're co-sleeping.
Yes.
Baby needs to just be swaddled and on a bare mattress.
Yep. Perfect. So there's a lot of other hazards in the child's room too, and like you said, they're alone in the room at times, many times.
They are.
Yes.
There was one I just heard about this week. Parents went in to get up their 2-year-old in the morning and found that he had gotten up and tried to climb the dresser drawer and come in to find him underneath the dresser.
Oh my God.
I did not hear what the final outcome was, but he had been life-flighted, and it was a tragic thing.
Yeah. And this happens often. This is not infrequent.
No. In fact, I read recently that aside from car accidents, the number one risk for toddlers and small children is falling furniture.
Yeah.
And so it really is heartbreaking, and it's a $20 fix, literally.
Yeah.
And so every piece of furniture in baby's room should be attached to the wall with some sort of strap system into the studs. We have 3 or 4 in our store. There are lots of them out there.
Yes.
But attach the dresser, attach the nightstand, attach the changing table, any bookshelves, entertainment centers. One of the children that was killed last year, a Twitter mom that I had read about, her little guy reached for a TV on top of a dresser, and it fell. And she said, this is a dresser I stood on to hang curtains. I was just certain it would never tip. But it did.
Yes.
And you pull a drawer out, and it makes them off balance.
Well, that's exactly what
happened.
That's what happens is they start pulling out all the drawers to climb, and when the drawers start to pull out, the weight gets off-centered, and the whole thing can tip over.
Yeah, and they become top-heavy very easily. And so the anchors, as I said, we have several in our store. They exist. They're pretty universal. They attach on the back of the dresser and then attach to the wall at the stud.
It seems to me like, and I had posted this on my Facebook page not too long ago about a little girl, so sad, who died in California about 2 weeks ago. The same thing happened. And, I was just surprised to see how many people just were not aware that they needed to strap their furniture. Like, people seem to know that they need to cover outlets But
Right.
strapping furniture where, and how many children actually die or end up in the emergency rooms with really serious injuries from furniture toppling on them. A lot of people are not aware. Or some people were saying, I live in an apartment, I don't want to screw into the walls. You know what? Screw into the walls and pay for it in the end if you have to fix do some plastering. It'll be worth it.
Oh, yeah, it's an easy fix when you're done to patch
Yep.
And it's just not worth the risk factor, and it happens too soon. And often I hear parents say, but it was the first time he ever climbed on something.
That's when it's going to happen.
The first time he ever pulled up on something.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. What else do you?
And so, secure everything in the room. Make sure that if you have closet doors, that you have some sort of stopper on that so that they aren't getting into the closet. Mm-hmm. If you have window blinds, those cords, prefer the ones that are a stick where there's no cord at all. Mm-hmm. But if you have a cord, have them wrapped up and into a winder above the window.
Yes.
If you have windows, put a latch on it. Children's rooms windows should never be opened more than 4 inches, and if they are open up to the 4-inch mark, they should have some sort of latch that keeps them from being able to be opened anymore.
Yes.
We've had 3 children in our city alone this summer that fell out of a window. Parents assumed the screen would hold, and they fell against the window. The screen did not hold. One of them was a 4-story apartment building. He survived, thankfully. But another one did not. And so secure your windows, leave the windows shut.
Yep.
If you need the airflow, do a ceiling fan.
Yes, very, very good point. And there are stoppers so that they can only open up 4 inches.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a number of them on our site.
Yes.
That do different types of windows that secure them in a way that's going to keep it safe. And with any of these, if a family is looking for something specific, they can call our store, and we're happy to help them find something that fits their particular situation.
Kay's store has just about everything that you would need, and most of these products are so inexpensive to put in and to install, and easy to install yourself. It's just a matter of knowing what you need, and like we said, with this resource page now, this list that you've created, you've really gone over the most important things. It would really be important for everybody to take a look at this and do what you're saying here. Very important.
And it doesn't take long. My husband, we did a $12.99 furniture strap this weekend.
Yep.
And my husband installed it in about 10 minutes on the back of a dresser that we have in a playroom where my grandchildren are.
Yep.
And we had moved some things around, and less than 10 minutes for him to get it installed and secured to the wall.
Yep, so worth it. Oh my gosh. And the outlet covers, of course, covering up all
outlet covers. I do want to talk about this, though. There are a couple of different types of outlet covers. You've seen the inexpensive little circle ones that you just push in the plug. They really are my least favorite, because what happens is children pull them out and put them in their mouth. So then you have a choking hazard unless they have a hole in the center. Secondly, they get set down on the floor somewhere and somebody steps on them.
Yes.
And they're just a pain. So I much prefer the ones that slide over, that you have to put the outlet piece, the plug in, and push to the side and then put it in. They're a little more expensive, but when the plug is pulled out, it's immediately covered. There's nothing to be removed. It stays in the right position, and I love them. And I tell parents, when you have a baby, start picking up one of those every payday, and by the time your child is that age, you've got all the ones in your house covered, and you don't have to pay for it all at once.
Right, absolutely. That's great. That's totally great. What other rooms do we want to be taking a look at that would be a hazard here? It seems to me like the bathroom might be an issue.
Yeah, bathrooms are really important. Probably the first thing I do with bathrooms, besides the normal outlet covers, is cabinet latches. Because often we have either cleaning supplies or other things underneath the sink that we need to be secure. So cabinet latch to keep them out. And actually some sort of latch on the door. As you start to have children walking, you don't want them in a bathroom unsupervised. And so having a latch on the outside of the door to keep them out when you aren't around is really a good idea.
Yes.
But then once they're in, the cabinet latch, a toilet lid lock, and just those kinds of safety things to make sure that everything is locked and out of the way, that they can't get to water. We don't want them to have standing water in a toilet or so.
A lot of people don't realize that children can drown in just a few inches of water, or even going headfirst into a toilet bowl.
Absolutely, because they're so top-heavy. Their heads are bigger than their bodies proportion to us, and so they get off-center, and they reach down in the toilet, and they fall in. It happens quickly.
Yes, yes. So you want to make sure those toilet seats are locked, for sure. There was a question that came in about, let's see, it was about bathtubs. And this was from Tracy in Pennsylvania, and she was saying, what are your suggestions for bathtub safety? Obviously, I don't leave my baby unattended, but she's in a stage where she's too big for the baby tub, and she's really slippery to hold onto the big tub. She moves away too much for me to just let her sit there. What do you recommend?
I really am a fan of a safe suction-down bathroom seat. My daughter has twins, and I have to tell you, the only way we manage to raise two at a time was with two of these seats. Yes. And of course, we never, ever, ever walk away. That is just a given. Yes. But the little seat keeps them on their bottom. Yeah. It keeps them from standing up, from falling over, from slipping. And it just makes it an enjoyable time, and you don't have to have three hands to hold them and wash them. I had them for my children. I just loved it. A little suction cups to the bathtub, and strap them in, and they just sit right there, and it's great. And you can really get to them and wash them as well. Yes, I love it. Yeah. And there are several on the market. We have, one, of course, at our store, but there are several out there. Just make sure that, check for safety ratings, and make sure that they suction down and stay with your child, always within hand's reach at all times. Yep, totally. And, I also remember to bring these things when I'm traveling as well, because sometimes you don't think of it. You're traveling with your children, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, in a hotel room trying to give a bath to your child, or, do things that you just don't have what you had necessarily at home. So you want to make sure that also when you're traveling with your child that you're keeping these things in mind. And that's one of the reasons why Travel Tots, Wendy from Travel Tots, has created a product that actually brings with you the kit that will give you the outlet covers, give you all the things to secure down the straps on the window blinds, to secure down the all the cords from the TVs, and things that you never thought of in a hotel room. And this is a fantastic product. I wanted to bring it up because I remember traveling with my little bathtub thing, actually packing it in my suitcase. But let me just give you Joe walked away, so I'm going to have to get it myself. This is Travel Tots right here. And it comes with everything included. And Wendy created this because she had the issue of actually going to a hotel room and then not having what she needed when she got there, and she was mortified to see that, oh my God, this is like a safety pit, a safety trap here. For my baby, she had to run after the child the entire time, and so you want to make sure that you are bringing what you need with you. We're going to give away 2 of those kits in a little while, but I just wanted to mention that because I remember traveling with my little bathtub. And that's a great idea. We're very excited. I spoke with them myself and have ordered them from our store for our store today. So we're excited to be a part of their team as well. That's so great. That's so great. Yeah, they're really fantastic. And just enough pieces. You don't need all of them, but you need enough to just cover what you got there in the hotel. Absolutely. You would think the hotel would have them, but they don't. So you need to do it yourself. Don't assume. Don't assume. Let's see. Anything else in the bathroom that we're leaving out, Kay? I don't think so. I think we're ready to move on to your playroom. All right. Awesome. Let's move on to the playroom now. The one thing about a playroom or living room, whatever area you're using, that I really recommend is that you have baby gates, and you limit how much access your children have. That makes it easier for you to childproof. Yes. It also gives you a place that if you have to go to the bathroom or step away, you know that they're confined, but they're in a safe place, that everything in that center area has been secured for them.
Yes.
And so I'm big on that. Again, my daughter has 2-year-old twins, and she has a gate at the hall and at the other doorway so that her playroom area is completely secure for her kids, and they have all their goodies in there.
Yes.
And so start with a gate. Make sure that you set up an area, a parameter that you can limit their access.
Yeah, especially they become mobile so quickly. I mean, between
yes, they do.
I remember my child started to walk. I was like, oh my God, life has changed as I know it. Now when they're actually moving, they are fast. They are so fast, and you really have to be running after them from the age of 1 when they start walking till at least 2.5. They're just moving like little moving targets that you got to follow them around constantly because they're just going to bump into something at every turn. So
absolutely, absolutely. And some houses are more difficult to gate than others.
Yes.
There are lots of options, but you need to find a way that makes it workable for you and for your family.
Yeah, we actually had gates, and I think this is really important for people to understand. We had gates at the top of the stairs and also at the bottom. It's not
absolutely, and there's a different way to do that.
Yes.
Top of the stair gates must be screwed into the stud on the wall.
Yes.
Because if they ever pressed against the gate and it's a pressure gate, it could fall and they would slide down the stairs. So the top of the stairs are screwed in.
Yes.
The bottom of the stairs can be a pressure gate.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay, yes. We actually had both of them screwed into the banisters there. And
that's perfect.
Yeah, and it actually, we've kept the gates up, upstairs. Even to this day, my children are 7 and 9, and we've kept the gates up because, at night when they get up to go to the bathroom, they're sleepy, it's dark, and I still worry about them falling and taking a wrong turn and down the stairs instead of going into the bathroom. So it's been years and we still have it up.
Absolutely, and it's just the first step.
Yeah.
Next, I'd like to talk about TVs.
Yes.
We do not realize, but there are a fair number of children that are killed every year by falling TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Often, it's like we talked about before, it's on top of a dresser or an entertainment center that tips, but sometimes it's the TV itself because they're so top-heavy, especially our big flat-paneled ones today.
Yes.
And so secure your TV. Again, you're looking at probably a $20 expense to buy TV straps in order to hook it into either the stand or the wall.
Yes.
If you hook it to the stand, then the stand also gets secured to the wall.
Yes.
But it's an easy fix, and especially if you have other children or children visiting. I have no small children in my home, but I have visiting children often.
Yes.
And so all of our TVs are secured.
I'm thinking about my TV right now in my family room that's not strapped down, and I think we're going to be doing that this week. Hey, I'll be ordering a TV strap from you. Thinking about the children who actually visit our house, God forbid. So I'm going to...
And there was actually, I think it was an 8-year-old child, a little boy, about 3 years ago that had a 27-inch TV fall on him, and it killed him.
Oh, my God.
So
okay,
it's not just
we're doing
the little
it this week. Yeah, you think it's going to be just the little ones, and it's not. It's an eye-opener for us as well. For sure. Or just get injured from it, whether it kills them, God forbid, it would just to get injured from that falling. I think we would get injured if it fell on us. So,
they are heavy. There's glass in them.
Yes.
It's just a dangerous thing. And you also have to remember, somebody mentioned Grandma's house. And, as I said, I am a grandmother. I go by Nana. But I want my house secure when the grandchildren are here. I want to know that the same things we've talked about have happened.
Yes.
And so if your parents' house is not secure, it may mean that you need to buy the strap and take it.
That is such a good point.
Important.
Such a good point that sometimes we don't think of is we're securing our own houses, but then not looking at where our children may be spending time, and also asking if you're using, any kind of a child care center or, to make sure that they're following regulations, that they're strapping down furniture, that everything that they're doing is appropriate, especially for home care type situations.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And, Travel Tot is a good example of that. Buy a Travel Tot set and send it to Grandma's house.
Yeah.
So that they have what they need when you're visiting, or take it with you when you go.
Yeah, perfect.
So let's finish our playroom. We've talked about gates and our TV straps.
Yes.
We talked earlier about furniture straps for your entertainment center and bookshelves. We talked about outlet covers and window latches. So probably the two others will be if there's a patio door in that room or another door of some kind. You want to make sure that it's secure so that your children can't get out and someone else can't get in.
Okay.
And so patio doors, you'll see parents put a stick along the runner so nobody can get in. The problem is the children just pick up the stick about the time they're 14, 15, 16 months old.
Yes.
And so then you have problems, it's a safety issue for them, somebody falling on it, but it also makes it so that it doesn't keep the children in once they learn to do that.
Right.
So you want a patio door latch that actually secures it from on top where they can't reach it.
Yes.
That keeps kids in and strangers out.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's a great point.
And the same thing if there's another door. If your front door opens into it, you want either some sort of, we have a guardian door latch that I love that goes way up top that my husband is getting ready to put on my front door here because it makes me feel more secure when he's gone or traveling that nobody else is going to get in.
Right.
But I also know it's up high, and even if my children could reach the deadbolt, they aren't going to get to that one to be able to open it.
That's a great point. Or open it for somebody who's standing at the door.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm thinking of that one for myself. Don't open the door. Don't open the door. There's one more thing that when we were talking about the stairs before, there was something else that I had done and I still have up too, was the plexi along the banisters.
Yes. Yes, you can put, because the banister railings are different widths in different houses, and again, older homes tend to have them wider apart than a newer home.
Yes.
And so you want some sort of barrier so they can't get their arms and legs and heads through, whether you attach plexiglass with zip ties, or there are a number of mesh versions out there.
Yes.
But you want to keep it so that nobody's going to get some part of their body stuck or through the railing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was one of the things that we decided we were definitely doing. I think because our house was a little bit older and the spaces between the banister upstairs was a little big. I could just see my daughter sticking her head through or climbing through it. So, and now it works great for Lucky, our little dog.
Yes, perfect.
Because he'd go flying right through that thing.
Yes, and much of the childproofing does help with pets as well.
It's been helping so much with the pets, so much. Okay, let's move on to, are we done with the playroom, or is there more? You had fireplace.
The only other one that I could think of would be fireplace.
Yeah.
If you have a fireplace, a raised hearth, you need some sort of foam. We have a couple of options in our store that protect those corners so as your children start moving, and especially when they're off balance.
Yes.
I'm sitting in my living room and I can see the foam that is on mine that's been up since my granddaughter was born 5 years ago.
Yes.
Just protects their little noggins. And so fireplaces are often going to be in a family room or a playroom.
Yep, yep. We actually had a really nice glass coffee table, too, that we moved out of there and got one with rounded edges. You just have to start changing what you're doing. And I think just even basic stuff of getting down on the floor and really looking at what can a child get into. Whatever is there for them to get into, they will. And so you have to really be aware.
You do. And, getting on your hands and knees and looking is a great way to do it. Yep. And just removing the things. It's a short season, but you may need to remove the tall pole lamps or house plants, things that you just know are going to be a point of contention.
Yes.
Just take them out of that gated area for that season.
Plants are a really good point. Some of the plants, when they're eaten, they're poisonous. And you have to make sure that, you've got, the plants aren't, they will eat them. So you want to make sure that, so you want to make sure that you're getting those out of the way as well. Your house will not be the same ever again. Eventually they will move out and then you can go back to the way you used to live. But when a child enters the house, they need to be protected. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
I remember remember buying one of those big circular gates just to keep her enclosed in a room. And and then as she got older, I remember putting my new baby inside the circle so she couldn't get to the baby. She didn't want to stay in the circle, but she didn't want to stop touching the baby, so I put the baby in there. We have video of that. I said, I remember putting the baby in there sleeping in the middle of the gate.
Oh, that works well. You know, you have to get creative.
Yep, perfect. Okay, so the kitchen. Yes.
Again, gates. If you have a situation where you can gate your kitchen off, and especially if you have a gate family room area, and you can separate the two, that really makes a lot of sense. Because kitchens really have a lot of things that can be hazardous to children if they're ever in there unsupervised. And so if it's connected to their playroom, if you can just gate it and have a separation, then that makes a lot of sense. In today's gates, we carry a couple of different brands, but one of the ones we have is Kidco, and they have a configuration gate that can grow and can fit large openings. And so you could essentially divide a room in half if you have that kitchen family room situation.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The more that you can corner off an area that's smaller so that you can keep an eye on the child, and be with the child so they can't get away and be out of your sight, the better.
Absolutely. Now, in some homes, that may not be possible. So let's talk about the other things that we can secure in the kitchen if the children have access.
Yes.
So the first one is cabinet locks. And, there's lots of different versions. And we have from, the entry level that you're going to find at your local grocery store that your children are going to figure out at about 18 months, all the way up to magnetic ones that can't be opened without the magnetic key, and things somewhere in the middle. So you have to find the ones that work for you and within your budget, but look at the cabinets that you have and which ones do you need to keep your children out of, things where cleaning supplies, of course, knives or utensils, anything that would be breakable. I usually left one cupboard open that had a drawer with Tupperware, those kinds of things that I was comfortable letting her sit on the floor and play with while I was in the kitchen.
Yep. We still have our locks on all our drawers and all our utensils, and the children know how to do it perfectly. It's my mother that has the issue now when she comes over.
7 years later.
7 years later, she's like, "What's wrong with your drawer? I can't open it."
So true. One of the things I love about the magnetic locks is they have an on and off switch.
Yes.
So I can turn them off when children aren't here.
Oh, that's
and then
great.
Just flip them on when the boys come. So that so I don't have to fight with them during, and for grandmas especially.
Wow.
That's a nice feature.
That's really great.
Look at your cabinets, find your locks. The next is your stove or oven. First, make sure that it's not going to tip. I read today about a toddler that was hurt by a stove that had tipped over on top of them. So, pull it, wiggle it, make sure it's in a way that it's secure.
Yes.
And then look at where your knobs are. You may need to put a knob cover on. You may have to have one of the plexiglass shields that are in the front that protect them from the burners. We also have knob stoppers. There's a bunch of different options for your stove depending on what your stove looks like and what you need.
Yes.
But you want to keep that so that they can't open the oven if things are hot so they can't get burned.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat room was asking about how can you protect the doors so that they don't get their doors, their fingers caught in the doors when it closes?
Oh, good idea. Generally, you either have to do a latch that keeps it shut so that they're not getting open, or you're going to put a finger guard, one of the wedges. Again, we have them in our store, but there are lots of them out there that are foam. It goes in between the openings so that the door cannot be completely shut.
Gotcha. Yep.
We have one of those on the playroom here at my house for the grandchildren. And as soon as they come, we just drop that little foam C circle into the opening so that we know nobody's going to get their fingers shut.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
And those are we're talking, I think they're $2.99. It's a very inexpensive protection.
Yeah, definitely. Most of these things are really not expensive. It's just about knowing what to do.
Exactly. So outlets, of course, any place that you've got outlets, any place that you have cords that are dangling, even if you duct tape them down, keep them, up and out of sight, out of the ability for somebody to pull it on top of them.
Yes.
Fridge locks. If you have a situation with kids opening refrigerators, it may not be a safety issue. It could be if you have a falling glass pitcher or a gallon of milk that gets pulled on top of. I actually sell a lot of our refrigerator locks for people who have large animals, dogs and cats, who get into the refrigerators while they're at work.
Oh, my God.
I know. Can you imagine?
No.
Somebody had a 30-pound cat that was getting into the refrigerator and eating their food every day.
Oh, that is funny. Okay, yes, so see, we have our animal babies as well.
We do.
Our fur babies.
So a fridge lock might be important to you if that becomes an issue for your children.
I'm just picturing Lucky getting into the refrigerator. I don't think he can even reach the refrigerator. Oh, that's really funny. Oh, my goodness. And what about the stove?
So the stove, as we talked about, there are knob covers, there are knob locks. There is a kind of a plexiglass piece that goes along the front that keeps them from reaching handles and pans.
Yeah.
Anything that just keeps them away from it. Again, I prefer a gate for that area so they can't get to
I was
the
just
stove.
going to say, even with all that, the ovens get really hot. This is where I've always been so worried about having my children near the stove, near the ovens while I'm cooking, things that are splattering, as I'm cooking something. To just keep them away completely with a gate might be even a safer idea when you're cooking.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you could do the gate, that's a way to go.
Yeah, that's great. There was a really good question that I wanted to address here. This was from Anne Marie in New Jersey. Hi, Anne Marie. And Anne Marie is asking about, is it safe to place a baby into their car seat when using a shopping cart? I haven't heard recommendations against it, but it seems unsafe. She has her husband's coworker recently had a baby placed in the car seat on the shopping cart, and when he turned a corner, the car seat fell and the shopping cart, and the baby sustained a head injury. This seems very dangerous to me, and this is not actually in the home, but a safety issue for sure.
Oh, very much so. There was actually a baby that died this week from that very thing.
Oh, boy.
They were coming out of a store, and a worker was actually pushing the shopping cart, and they hit a bump in the parking lot, and the car seat flew down and landed the child on his head. And just absolutely heartbreaking. And so, there's a false sense of security that you can somehow click them on there. But every cart is different, and every car seat is different. And the car seats are intended to click on a car seat base, not on the shopping cart. And so don't do it. It really is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Put them down inside the basket if you do take the shopping cart or take the car seat. Or better yet, drop them into a sling or a carrier where you can hold them and then have your hands free and room for your goods. But don't put them up on the top. Yeah, so important. And I felt like, that was such a great, Anne-Marie, great question. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry about your husband's friend, but I see it all the time. I'm in the ShopRite, I'm in the Costco, and people are putting their car seats up on top of those shopping carts. They're not secured, and it's a far drop. It is. It's really scary. Yeah. And the other thing I see that people don't recognize that we've been reading more and more about as we were talking about SIDS and the carbon dioxide buildup is people are covering their car seat in the shopping cart with a blanket. They create this tent so their children are rebreathing their own air, creating that carbon dioxide, which increases the SIDS risk. You need to open that up. And if you've covered it to come in through the rain or if it's cold from the car to the door, do that. But then as soon as you're in the door of the store, open it up. They need airflow. And anything that shuts down their airflow and causes their face to be near what they're breathing, even if it's against your chest or in a carrier and their face is below or cover the seat, take that off. Make sure that they can breathe and they're getting lots of air. So such a good point. Such a good point, definitely. So let me see. Are we done here, Kay? Did we get through everything? We did. We got through the list.
My
Amazing.
goodness, my goodness. We are amazing, aren't we? What a team.
We are.
What a team. Did everybody learn something tonight? Are you guys going to does everybody have some work to do? Everybody's got some work to do. Yes, me too. We all have, yeah, they're saying yes in the chat room. They all have lots of work to do. We're going to go to work because here's the deal, okay? There is nothing more important than securing your children. They are counting on you. You are the ones who are responsible for them to make sure that they grow up in a safe, loving environment, something safe that they can be, you know, they can wander around and there are not going to be these things that can quickly hurt them, and especially in your own home. So make sure that you go do that as we take care of the inside of their bodies with what we feed them and the outsides with what we diaper them with. We want to make sure their environments are just as equally as safe. And thank you, Kay, so much for supporting us with that tonight. Your information is just priceless. Priceless.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I always love coming, Shari.
Oh, good.
You're awesome, and you know we love that we get to be a part and can share. And remember that we do child safety, but we also do cloth diapers and baby gifts and some really unique items. So come and check us out.
I'm sure they will, Kay. They love you. Okay, awesome, Kay. We will talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks for having us, Shari and Joe.
Bye, Kay. Bye. Okay, everybody. Yeah, I learned so much tonight. I hope you guys take Kay's advice. We went through a lot of stuff. You know, use this show as a replay back. Go back, listen to it, recommend it to your friends. Make sure that everyone you know has small children are going to watch this show. Come back and watch it because it could be a matter of life and death. I mean, look what we're talking about. Simple things like strapping down dressers, you know, toilet seat lids, all these places where children are actually dying every day for, you know, issues that things that are just totally avoidable and unnecessary. Our children are too precious for that, so make sure you do your best to keep them safe. I love you. Thank you for another wonderful evening. Have a wonderful week with your babies. Kiss them all for me. Mwah.